Hey guys, it's Lisa from Lisa Loves Leather. I'm here in my kitchen. I'm about to do the dishes and I thought, why not do the dishes with you guys? Why not talk to you about what's on my mind? And what's on my mind again is leather. So I hope you don't mind the sounds of me doing the dishes here in my kitchen. And if you have anything that you have to do at home, like start multitasking with me, right? And we can keep each other company while we get things done around the house. Anyway, so what I want to talk to you about today are my latest thoughts. What I want to talk to you about today are, that didn't sound right. I don't know what I'm saying, but basically I want to talk to you about what's on my mind and about a reaction I got from some people. So, you know, I'm always thinking about leather, right? And about leather care and about how to best preserve my handbags. And right now it is February and I usually stop carrying my leather bags in the months of January, February, and March. You'll almost never see me carrying a leather bag in January, February, or March. And that is because I just don't think the weather is conducive to carrying a leather handbag. There's many reasons: the cold temperatures, the precipitation, whether it's snow or sleet or freezing rain, whatever. And then, those are the reasons why I do not carry my bags in the winter. Oh, I forgot. The other thing is salt, because, the roads are always being salted. And my car gets like salt residue on it. And like, if I'm trying to get the kids in the car, my bag inevitably will brush up against the side of the car, and I don't want salt on my leather either. So I usually just completely stop carrying my bags in these 3 months, and it stinks because I end up carrying like imitation leather, which is fine, but it's not as fun. So anyway, so as January was upon me and now here we are in February, I thought, why don't I join some leather care groups on Facebook and let me pose my question to them and see what people say. Maybe somebody can make me feel better about carrying my bags in the wintertime, okay? So I joined maybe 5 groups on Facebook, on leather care, right? So I joined and I introduced myself and I said, hey guys, I have a YouTube channel, whatever, I review leather bags. So I'm not a craftsman. Yes, I've made a pair of earrings here or there, but on the whole, I'm just really interested in leather care, as opposed to creating, products from leather at this point in my life, although I definitely have aspirations to make handbags in the future. So anyway, I get approved and I introduce myself in these groups. And so I said, on the spectrum of leather care, just so you know where I'm coming from, my perspective is I don't want really any product to touch my leather unless it's absolutely necessary, right? Unless the leather is old or it's misshapen or whatever. I'm generally not gonna apply anything to it. I'm kind of like a less is more kind of mentality. And I said, so I just gave that little background. And then I said, can you guys tell me what happens to leather on a molecular level when it's exposed to cold temperatures? And the crazy thing is all these people wrote back and nobody knew the answer to the question, but they were all so rude, saying things like, just wear your leather, it's meant to be used, which I get that, it's just a thing. But some people were like, how do the cows feel on a winter day? They're just cold, leather's gonna be fine. But anyway, the point is nobody really understand what I was asking. I'm truly asking from maybe a perspective of, I guess I want to hear from a chemist or something. I don't know. So anyway, I definitely was kind of chewed up by the comments of the people. And I ended up leaving most of those groups because I was just oh, there's so much negativity here. Nobody understands what I'm getting at. anyway, so I decided to do my own kind of like test because obviously I know that water freezes when it's really cold, right? And so if my leather bag was wet, for example, then I'm going to have, you know, ice in my leather hide or whatever, and it's going to be like cutting up the you know, the fibers of the leather. So I obviously don't want that. But on the whole, my leather bags are not wet because generally I'm not out in a rainstorm with them, whatever. So my concern then was, okay, if nobody can tell me what's happening to the leather on a molecular level when the leather is exposed to extreme temperatures of cold, then maybe I should at least study oil and see how oil reacts. Now there's all different kinds of oils out there, I know. There's oils that you put in your car, there's all kinds of oils, and they all have different ways that they react to cold temperatures. Some of them do a pretty good job at not solidifying, and sometimes certain ingredients in the mixture might you know, become solid before others. But what I decided to do was do a test with olive oil, right? Because I have it here in my kitchen. And I thought, you know, there are some people that put olive oil on their leather bags. I don't recommend it because, as you'll see in a previous video that I recorded, and I can link that down below, olive oil does not have antibacterial properties, and so therefore I would not recommend it for your leather handbags. But olive oil, though, is what I have here in the kitchen, and it's probably pretty similar to, you know, other oils that are used on leather. Okay, so here's my olive oil. So the other day it was cold outside and I set this out on my porch and I thought, let me see what happens to it. And it became cloudy. It did not freeze, but then nor did any of the water. Like sometimes we have like little puddles of water and stuff, and none of that froze either. So I was like, okay, I need to put this in my freezer. So I put it in my freezer, and I'm telling you guys, this froze, right? Okay, maybe that's not that exciting, whatever, but it did. It froze, and it tells me, I don't know what you think about this, but it tells me that if I have used conditioner, if I've conditioned my bags with an oily substance, like something like olive oil, maybe it's almond oil or you know, an animal oil, mink oil, whatever. You know, there's different types of oils out there, but if exposed to really cold temperatures, it's going to freeze and become a solid. And if this has worked its way into the pores of my leather bag, and then I take my leather bag out into the freezing cold, and this solidifies, what's going to happen to my bag as I move it, right? It's going to be more inflexible because it has this frozen in it. And anyway, I could see the fibers really getting messed up. So anyway, I am not a fan of carrying leather in the cold. I know that people do it. I know that people wear leather jackets and whatnot, but like, I'm not asking my leather bags to, like, I know they're gonna outlast me. I know this, right? Because they have, you know, lifetime guarantees, and, you know, things that are leather do stick around for a long time. But in my lifetime, what I'm interested in is I'm interested in preserving the integrity of the bag so that it stays soft and pliable and nice. And I just don't feel that if I take it out into the elements all the time in these cold winters, that it's going to benefit my bag. That's just my thought. So I want to hear what you think on that. Also, something else I've been thinking about with regard to patina, I really feel strongly, and I really want you to tell me if you disagree, but I feel strongly that leather darkens from oxygen exposure, not from sun exposure. And there's a lot of people out there that are saying that the darkening of leather is from the sun, and they equate that to how our skin tans when we are out in the sun. I just have a hard time understanding that. I don't think it's true. I just need to be convinced. So if you can convince me, please comment down below. But the big difference, again, between my skin and leather is my skin is alive. So if my skin is exposed to sun, it's going to build up that pigment, right? I just don't think that's what happens in leather. In fact, I believe that leather can fade in the sun, and maybe it has to do with the type of leather, or how it was tanned, whatever. But guys, I went into a leather shop, and that was another thing. People were accusing me in this group, this Facebook group, of not talking to people that are in the field or in the industry of leather, and they were like, go walk into a leather shop and talk to some people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I do. I've gone into many leather shops and I try to pick their brains. Anyway, I went into this leather shop. It was kind of like an older leather shop, right? Anyway, and the products that were in the window or near the window had been there clearly for a long time. They were faded. The part that was like I'm talking about, it was like some jackets and stuff, some clothing and things that were near the window, and you could tell they were there for a long time. They were faded on the side that was closest to the window and not faded on the side that was away from the window. And so I really, really, really think that sunlight fades leather and that oxygen darkens leather. Okay, that is what I think. And another reason why I think this is because also when I was in the back of this leather shop, I got to see some of the leather that was brand new that had just come in, and it was stored in such a way so that the nice part of the leather was not exposed to the oxygen, and it was nice, and when you looked at it, it was like my skin color, right? It was very nude. And then some pieces that had already been turned over and had been sitting that way for a while darkened. But I don't think it's because of the light. I think it's because of the exposure to oxygen. Because when you take leather and you put it down on a surface, it's not exposed to as much oxygen, so it's not going to darken as quickly. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on on patina at the moment. So yeah, I just want to hear from you guys what you think. Please be kind and please be gentle in the comments. Don't be like those mean haters in the Facebook groups. I don't know. I also want to say, I think there's a big philosophical difference in the leather world between the crafters who are making products and then maybe someone like me. Because I think that if you're a leather craftsman, sometimes you might be mostly interested in the craftsmanship, how it's put together, how it looks, how it functions, and then you want to sell it and make your money, which I fully get and I understand and I respect. But perhaps you have less interest in how the item is going to be preserved over time because you're just not interested in that. Because you're making new things constantly, you're constantly creating, which is very cool. So I'm just in this I don't know, I'm just thinking, and I don't think leather should be exposed to the elements. Now I have leather boots and I wear them in the winter for sure, but they're things I don't care about, and they get really gross from the salt and everything else, but I don't care because they're on my feet, I guess. There's two types of women out there. There's the ones that care about their shoes, and there's the ones that care about their handbags, and I care about my handbags and I don't really care about my shoes. So I think it's, I don't know, once a pair of shoes gets kind of gross, I try to throw it out. I'm not really interested in the longevity necessarily of the shoes, because you're walking around with them on the ground anyway, right guys? So anyway, that's it for my little rant today, but my dishes are pretty much done, actually. You can see, check it out, look at that, pretty much done. Empty sink. So anyway, I hope you got a little something accomplished while we were chatting, and I welcome your thoughts below. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye.